You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps, and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Unstoppable Actors. I'm so glad you are listening to this one because we are covering all things rejection, what rejection is, how we can recover from it, and everything in between. Before I get into this episode, have you got your place on the Nerve Destroyer? This is an incredible online pre-recorded course that you can get lifetime access to, which basically means you can do it as many times as you need to. Now, of course, nerves are something that affect actors of all levels, whether we are brand new, whether we are just getting started with our acting career, whether we're regularly auditioning, whether we're returning from a break. Doesn't matter, we all experience nerves at some point. This course has been created to allow you to destroy nerves so you can lose yourself in the role. We have 500 places available for free. After that, it turns paid. So you can get your place at bit.ly/nerve destroyer, or you can hit the link in the episode description. And now let's get on to rejection. Oh, it's a big old topic, this one, especially because as actors, we are going to be experiencing way more rejection than we do open doors in the early stages of our career. So it's definitely something we need to get on top of. We need to uncover, untangle, and free ourselves from the chaos that it can cause us internally. And it can. I've done a lot of research on this because I didn't just want to come at this from my own perspective of what rejection is and my own experience, and I didn't want to just come at it from my experience of coaching actors and how I've seen them handle rejection. I wanted to come at this from an objective point of view as well. So, first of all, I looked up the dictionary definition, and the Cambridge Dictionary definition is the act of refusing to accept, use, or believe someone or something. Another definition from the dictionary is the dismissing or refusing of a proposal, idea, etc. Thought that was interesting to start with because the dictionary always sums things up very succinctly. I then went to the American Psychological Association. This is where I wanted to get really objective. And the American Psychological Association speaks about how rejection increases anger, it increases anxiety, depression, jealousy, which I thought was interesting, and sadness. Now, this does relate more to social rejection, so I decided to dig a little deeper and look into the mental health implications of rejection. And no matter what situation you put rejection in, those emotions that I've just shared, anger, anxiety, depression, jealousy, and sadness, come up time and time again, no matter where I looked with regards to rejection. And interestingly, what the American Psychological Association said, and many other psychological websites I went onto, is that persistent exposure to these emotions can lead to negative thoughts and low self-esteem. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting considering the amount of rejection we as actors will get exposed to? As I've already mentioned earlier on in this episode, we're in an industry where we will receive far more rejection than we do opened doors in the early days of our career. But we will experience micro rejections throughout our career as well. So, of course, it goes without saying, you need to learn your craft, which is the method acting exercises that will embed you deeply into the character. That's a no-brainer, right? But no matter how much we work on our craft, we will never, ever stop ourselves experiencing rejection. As I've said, there are going to be micro rejections. There are going to be bigger rejections. We are going to experience rejection in all formats as an artist, and we will still experience those emotions when we are rejected. I've said this word micro rejections a few times now, so let's look at the different ways that we might come into contact with rejection. And as I've mentioned those emotions, you will know which one rejection triggers in you. If we're really brutally honest with ourselves, it's probably all of them to varying degrees. I can honestly say that earlier on in my career, it didn't really increase anger. I was never angry at rejections, but I would definitely say anxiety, performance anxiety, and jealousy as well. I'm just going to call myself out on that. I'm going to be honest. That's the shadow side of me. That was in the earlier days. Now I'm older. I've got more experience. I still don't feel anger. The anxiety can still be there, but I know how to deal with it. The jealousy I don't really have anymore because I've managed to work through that. But sometimes, I can feel a bit sad when I get rejected. I'm a human. So you will know which of those emotions it triggers in you. Maybe it's all of them. Maybe it's some of them. Maybe it's a combination of them. It doesn't matter. We're not here to beat ourselves up. We're here to start to work through rejection and know how we can quickly recover from it. Because that's the key thing here. But let's dive back into those different types of rejections and the more bigger scale major rejections, the micro rejections, and the rejections in between. So we've got the obvious. After auditions, not getting the role. Maybe it's not just not getting the role that makes us feel rejected, but maybe never getting a concrete no, because sometimes that does happen. In fact, it happens a lot of the time in the industry. That's why people are campaigning, at least in the UK, for the yes, no. So it can be not getting the audition itself, not getting the role itself, but then never hearing a concrete no, which makes us wonder. Or maybe it is the definite no. Either way, whichever one of those rejections it is from auditions, it stings. It stings. Let's acknowledge that. It's okay for us to acknowledge that. Then we've got the not so obvious rejections. And this is what I would class as a micro rejection. This could be with character choices we've made. So maybe a director doesn't like the character choices we've made. Maybe your acting coach doesn't. Maybe someone else in the audience doesn't. It doesn't matter. The character choices that we've made still come from us. They come from our heart. They come from our imagination. So when someone doesn't like them, it's a micro rejection. It stings. Maybe on a different level to an audition, but it stings nonetheless. Now, when I was at drama school many years ago, I was rejected for my character choices. Some of you will have heard this story before. Some of you, this will be brand new. So we had a showcase. The day before, we were due to go to London to perform the showcase in front of casting directors, in front of agents. My director gave me the biggest rejection of my life. And it wasn't just the fact that he rejected my character choices, it was in front of the rest of my year at drama school, which made it very humiliating. It made me feel, actually this one did make me feel anger. So earlier when I said I didn't really feel anger with rejections, I'd actually forgotten about this. This did make me feel anger, and it was anger at how it had been delivered. So the director was giving everyone feedback. We were all sat against a wall in this rehearsal room on the floor. I was the last one in the line. He got to me last and he looked me square in the eyes, and the words that I'm about to say are word for word what he said to me in front of everybody in my year at drama school. And his words were, "That was fucking shit." I feel like that's not a micro rejection, actually, reflecting on it. That's a huge rejection. That's a rejection of me as an actress, of my character choices, and actually, even though I'm not triggered by that anymore, and I was for a long time, I'm not telling this story now, it doesn't bring any emotions up, I've worked through it, but actually that's rejecting me out of my year group as well. So you've got rejections like that. We've then got other rejections, and these could be classed as micro or major rejections, depending on what your relationship to this is, but it could be rejections by castmates who might not want to hang out with you, between scenes, when we're on set, when we're rehearsing, they just might not want to hang out with you. That might feel like a rejection. You might not feel like you're part of the cast. Another one is when we're at auditions. Some actors like to do this. They like to share what they last auditioned for, what work they've done, who their agent is. And this can also feel like a rejection, because it can feel like, oh, I'm rejected in this industry, especially if this is your first audition in a long time. It depends how we look at this, what perspective, what lens we're coming from, but it can be a micro rejection. And here's something you might not have even considered. Are you rejecting yourself without even realizing? And what I mean by that is, There could be a role that you like the look of and you think, God, I'd really enjoy playing this role, but you don't apply for it because you talk yourself out of it. You've just rejected yourself. Or maybe there's an opportunity in an acting course to share a monologue or a scene in front of others, and you don't do it because you are already armed up with all the reasons why you just can't. You've just rejected your own talent there. You've rejected your own growth. So when we think outside the box, rejection is more than just a no at an audition, even though that is a big rejection. And rejection can have lasting effects. We've already established it certainly stings. It certainly brings up different emotions. The story that I shared where it brought up anger, and I think that anger was justified, to be honest, as I reflect back, but that also brought up humiliation for me. So those emotions that I've shared with you are not the be-all and the end-all. It can bring up any different kinds of emotions beyond what I've shared on that list. But I want you to know that it's absolutely okay if rejection stings. Because you're a human and you're meant to feel the full spectrum of emotions. It does not serve you, however, to cover up this stinginess, to cover up whatever feelings are coming up for you and soldier on. You need to acknowledge that you feel a bit shitty from it. Because when you try to cover it up and soldier on, you get stuck in something called toxic positivity. And toxic positivity is dismissing, denying, covering up feelings, pretending you're not feeling them, pretending everything's okay, to put out this outward image that, yep, it's fine, I can deal with it, I've got a thick skin. And toxic positivity is the pressure to cover things up and be positive only. But at a Standby Method Acting Studio, we don't do that. Because, as I've already said, that has long-term damaging effects. One being inadequacy. You can start to feel inadequate. And when you start to feel inadequate because you're getting these, what feels like continuous rejections, do you then think you are going to be proactive with your acting career if you feel inadequate? You might still be being proactive, but not as proactive as you used to be. And eventually that proactiveness fades out. By suppressing these feelings, it can also lead to health issues as well. Now, I'm not qualified to talk about this, so I'm not going to go there, but there's a lot of research you can do yourself to uncover all this, like if we start to deny and cover up and suppress feelings, what it does to the body. But what I want you to focus on is our Rapid Rejection Recovery Path. This is so important. To become an unstoppable actor, you need a Rapid Rejection Recovery Path. And I've got 5 steps on it for you. The first step, we've already covered this, acknowledge you feel a bit shit. It is okay. Let yourself feel the emotions so they can come out and not take a hold of you. That's the first thing. The second thing is, ask yourself what you can learn from this experience of rejection. Now, if I reflect back, I've learned that experience that I had, which I shared with you earlier about the director telling me my work was fucking shit in front of everyone. I've learned that at that time, yes, I was a bit younger, a lot younger actually. I was more naive. I wasn't as experienced. What I've learned from that experience is that I put that director on a pedestal. I made them way more powerful than myself. I gave my power away. I also learned that I didn't deal with it very well because I actually did become a little bit angry. I didn't express that, not to him at least anyway. But what I could have done is I could have allowed myself to feel that anger, and then I could have communicated with him and said, actually, that you've just made me feel really crappy. And I don't know if that's your intention and that's what you wanted me to do, but I'm just letting you know that that's what's happened. So can you repeat that feedback to me really slowly, please, so I can hear it again and make sure that me feeling crappy is justified? Now, when you say that to someone, if they give you that's not constructive criticism, and you ask them to repeat it slowly to you, then usually they're not going to, because they're going to realise, actually, I've articulated that in a very unkind way. So that's what I've learned from that, from reflecting. Was I in a position all those years ago to be able to reflect in this manner? Probably not. But it's been a useful experience for me, even if I found it humiliating at the time, because I'd never let anybody make me feel like that again. I'd take my power back. The third thing I want you to know is that if it's a really stingy rejection, don't start beating yourself up. Give yourself a set amount of time each day, for example, 20 minutes, to ruminate the hell out of it. It's okay to do that. The only rule here is you must stop after the 20 minutes. You must end the rumination cycle then and do something that's going to help you reground and move through those emotions. Something like the step out exercise, which I share with my acting students all the time because it's so powerful. So what you've done there is you've allowed yourself to think, overthink, feel the feelings, get it out of you. That's what you've done. You've just got it out of your system. And then you've ended with a step out, which means the rumination won't continue. You won't put yourself in a bad place because you've regrounded, you've reset. You can go into the rest of your day with fresh eyes, fresh feeling. The fourth thing to help ourselves on the rapid rejection recovery path is knowing that prolonged exposure to rejection can increase your anxiety and nerves about performing and auditions. Now, I've just mentioned the step out process, which takes the stings out of nerves, it takes the sting out of rejections. I've actually created a video for you to show you how to do the step out exercise, and I've popped this video inside the Nerve Destroyer. So this is a pre-recorded online course. 500 actors get lifetime access to it for free. After 500 actors have taken their free place, it then becomes paid. There are still some free places available, so go and get it and learn this step out exercise by going to bit.ly/nerve destroyer or clicking the link in the episode description, because that exercise alone will be so valuable to you as an actor for 1,000,001 different reasons. The fifth point on our rapid rejection recovery path is once you've released the feelings that came with the rejection, you need to make a promise to yourself to implement what you learnt from it the next time you're in an acting situation that could put you back into contact with that person, that situation, or a similar rejection. So it's almost like the self-reflection that I did on that experience with that director. I've already created a little action plan for myself. What would I do if I found myself in a similar situation to that again? I would take my power back, I'd take time to feel the feelings, and then I'd go and have a non-confrontational conversation with that person. That's what I would do. So you've got 5 steps now on your rapid rejection recovery path, which can help you to not get sucked into feeling inadequate, because you're not. You are not inadequate. You are here listening to this episode, which tells me you take your craft and your career seriously. I don't ever want you to fall into those inadequate feelings, because you have got stories inside of you that only you can tell, that need telling, that need sharing through the characters that only you can play. And there are audiences that need to see your work. So when you use this rapid rejection recovery path, you are not going to get sucked into those inadequate feelings. You will be moving yourself forwards into becoming an unstoppable actor, because you're more than capable of becoming an unstoppable actor. I need you to know that. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please rate it if you have. And I will see you inside of the Nerve Destroyer if getting on top of your nerves and also helping with rejection is something you know you need to focus on to get you to the next stages with your acting. Pun absolutely intended. See you again soon. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors Handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.